The story of Spartan revenge does not begin on the battlefield. It begins in the quiet moments before war, in the echo of a betrayal, so deep that it carved itself into the heart of an entire nation. Sparta was not a city that forgot insults, and it was never a people that forgave humiliation. Thermopylae was more than a defeat. It was a scar, a memory soaked in the blood of warriors who refused to kneel. And for every Spartan, the idea of revenge was not anger, it was duty. The world remembers the 300 who stood against the Persian Empire, but the world often forgets what came after. The Persians believed they had crushed Sparta's spirit. They believed the death of Leonidas and his warriors would end the Greek resistance, but in reality it only awakened something far more dangerous, a promise, that one day Persia would face a storm far greater than anything Leonidas had unleashed. The first seeds of Sparta's revenge were planted in silence. Messages were carried from city to city. Allies were approached. Old grudges were set aside. What Persia did not understand was that Thermopylae united Greece more than it broke it. Athens brought ships, Corinth brought soldiers, and Sparta brought fury. Every man who prepared for war understood that the blood spilled at Thermopylae demanded an answer, and that answer would come not in whispers, but in fire. Before the armies marched, the Spartans returned to the battlefield of Thermopylae. They walked through the narrow pass where their brothers died. The ground still felt sacred. The breeze still carried memories of shields clashing and voices shouting their final defiance. The Spartans knelt not in weakness, but in respect. They touched the earth, honoring the warriors who bought Greece time with their lives. And in that silence, a vow was made. Persia would fall, not out of hate, but out of balance. The world had been tipped, and Sparta would set it right. When Sparta marched to war again, the earth trembled beneath them. These were not warriors searching for glory. They were men answering a debt. Every helmet they wore carried a memory of Thermopylae. Every shield was a reminder of the oath to Leonidas. Beside them marched Greek allies who had once doubted Sparta. But now they understood. If Persia conquered Greece, no city would remain free. Revenge became unity. Unity became strength. Across the sea, Persia prepared for another invasion. They assumed Greece was fractured, weakened, hopelessly divided. They believed that the fall of the 300 proved their superiority. But Persia did not understand that Spartans were forged in loss. They believed victory created strength, but Sparta believed pain created warriors. Every Persian general expected an easy conquest. None understood the fury that was coming for them. As the Greek fleet gathered, the Spartans took their place among the strategists. Though they were not sailors by nature, they knew discipline better than anyone. The plan was simple: break Persia at sea, then crush them on land. The Athenians stood ready with their triremes. Their rowers moved like one creature with 1,000 limbs. Their captains learned from past mistakes. And together with Spartan command, they formed a strategy that would trap the Persian navy. When the battle at Salamis began, the sea churned beneath the weight of ships and fate. Persian vessels crowded the narrow straits, unable to maneuver. The Greeks struck with precision. Persian soldiers, confident in their size and numbers, found themselves trapped. Panic spread through their ranks. They heard the Athenian war cries. They heard the Spartans shouting words of vengeance. The waters filled with splintered wood, broken oars, and the cries of men who suddenly understood they were not invincible. The destruction of the Persian fleet was the beginning of Sparta's revenge. With the sea under Greek control, the path to strike Persia on land became clear. The Spartans prepared for final confrontation, a battle that would decide the future of Greece. The Persians, led by Mardonius, believed they could still break Greek unity. They offered alliances, promises, gold, anything to divide Greece. But it was too late. The memory of Thermopylae burned too brightly. No Greek city would betray the fallen. As the Spartans marched toward Plataea, their discipline became legendary. They moved in silence, guided by purpose. Their armor gleamed in the sun. Their spears pointed forward like the teeth of a single giant beast. Even their enemies admitted the Spartans carried an aura of inevitability. The Persians felt it. The Allies felt it. Every step Sparta took brought them closer to restoring what was taken. The Persians had numbers, archers, cavalry, and resources beyond imagination. But they lacked what Sparta possessed, men who feared nothing, not even death. The Spartans held the center of the Greek line. Their shields interlocked, their spears angled, their minds sharpened by years of training. When the battle began, the Persians unleashed waves of arrows. The sky darkened, but the Spartans stood firm. Their shields absorbed the storm. Their courage did not falter. When Sparta advanced, they moved like a living wall. Step by step, shield by shield, each strike precise, deliberate, unstoppable. Persian soldiers panicked, for the Spartans did not fight like ordinary men. They fought with memory. They fought with purpose. Every blow carried the weight of their fallen king. Every thrust echoed the last stand of the 300, and Persia felt the consequences of underestimating them. The clash at Plataea became a turning point in world history. The Persians, once proud and confident, began to break. Their formations collapsed under the pressure of the Spartan assault. Mardonius himself fell in the chaos. And when he died, the Persian army shattered. What remained of their forces fled, retreating with desperation rather than strategy. The battlefield fell silent as the dust settled. Spartan warriors stood among the fallen, breathing hard, their armor dented, their faces streaked with sweat and dirt. But they felt no joy, only completion. Their revenge was not born from hatred. It was born from obligation. The Persians had taken brothers, fathers, and leaders from them. And now, balance had been restored. After Plataea, the Greeks burned the Persian camp. The smoke rose into the sky, carrying with it the final echo of the war. Persia had expected to conquer Greece. Instead, they were driven back across the sea, forced to accept defeat at the hands of a smaller, yet far more determined people. The story of Spartan revenge became legend, a reminder that courage can overturn empires. In the years that followed, Sparta's name carried power across the world. Enemies feared them. Allies respected them. Children grew up hearing the stories of Thermopylae and Plataea, learning that bravery mattered more than numbers. And the Persians, once confident in their domination, learned humility. For the first time, they understood the wrath of a nation that refuses to bow. Sparta returned home not as conquerors, but as defenders of freedom. Their revenge was complete, but they did not boast. Their victory belonged to Greece as a whole, and to the memory of those who fell at Thermopylae. The 300 were honored not with tears, but with triumph. Their sacrifice had shaped a new world. But Sparta's story did not end with victory. Their legacy continued, inspiring generations of warriors, leaders, and empires. The lesson was simple yet eternal. Even the greatest armies can fall before the determination of a single people united by purpose. Persia learned that lesson in blood, and Sparta carved it into history. The revenge of the Spartans remains one of the most powerful stories in human history, not because it was brutal, but because it was righteous. It was the story of a nation that refused to accept defeat, a nation that honored its dead not with mourning, but with strength, and a nation that proved that even when outnumbered, the human spirit can shift